Right to it. Sam Amick of The Athletic joins us, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about with him. By the way, the Lakers have now won 2 in a row. New Orleans last night, Denver before. Yeah, I don't like that at all. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are we?
Great. How are we thing again? I'm just going to roll by it this time. I don't know how you are.
What am I supposed to say? Maybe
how are you? How are you?
You are cranky with me.
I don't know how you are. I don't know how you might have had a bad day.
It's a communal expression to relay affection, Dave, but I can take that affection away if you like.
And you have.
Sam, yes. What are we going to? I don't have any affection for the replay rules in the NBA. I don't understand why. If you get a challenge correct, that is your only challenge for the game. And I'm curious if that's something you've ever heard of that could, not possibly, but realistically be something they evaluate in the offseason, looking at a change somewhat in that rule.
No, I mean, my general sense has always been, as you could imagine, that it's a concern over length of game and the idea of, folks don't enjoy the viewing experience of challenges. They take too long. They interrupt flow. It is an entertainment product at the end of the day. So those are all the answers you're going to get. But, philosophically, do I hear you 100% when it comes to the idea that, like, wait a minute, you got something wrong. I corrected you. And then I no longer have the ability to correct you going forward when you get things wrong again. I get the frustration, but I don't see it changing, unfortunately.
As we're talking with Sam Amick here on the Folsom Lake Hotline, Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Sam, just on that note, would you think the league would tend towards more replays in the future, or the other way, maybe less replays in the future?
I don't think less. I mean, I think they are always trying to tighten up the individual replay experiences themselves, if that makes sense. Because they have, I forget the number on, or kind of the framework of how long it's supposed to take, but you have these outliers that are not really outliers. They're fairly consistent where you're watching the game and you're like, all right, guys, it's been 2 minutes. Like, what are we doing here? So, it's an issue, but I think, I don't see it going backwards. I just don't see it being the free-for-all that Dave is advocating for.
Screw it. I don't like replays either, but I don't like missed calls. And let me piggyback on what Jason said, the last 2-minute report. That's sticking around, do you think, long-term? We've been having a discussion all day as to whether or not it's good for the NBA and or good for the fans.
Yeah, I think it is, because the account or the transparency is, it's such a weird part of the league in the ecosystem and the way they think and the way they litigate, because it's like you want transparency, and that's been one of the tenets of Adam Silver's tenure when it comes to the refs. And so the 2-minute report is their way of achieving that with the fans and with the media. Now, I think you guys probably know this. What's interesting is, they still have internal 48-minute reports, where teams can get their hands on the entire thing. So, I mean, you have this incredible amount of work being done to study every single play. But to your point, Dave, it's like, cool, great. So the record books internally will show, how often they got it wrong, but on the court, it only got fixed a handful of times. So, yeah, I mean, that part's not going away. But there's just a bunch of loopholes in the system, obviously.
Sam, I want to ask you this as I guess as a writer, that your craft, if you were given the opportunity to go to Brooklyn and write on the Nets right now, and there's a Nash angle, there's certainly a potential Udoka angle, there's Kyrie going on right now, like, what would grab you first and say, I got to uncover more on this part of the Nets?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. The Udoka angle, it's a good question, Jay. The Udoka angle is tricky because, to be totally honest with you guys, I feel like a lot of media members know pretty close to exactly what happened, and their coverage would look, in their analysis, their commentary would look and sound different than it does in terms of the choice of the Nets to bring Udoka to town. And what does that mean, considering Boston wanted him away, unofficially forever? But there's this stuff is hard to cover because, we being media have chosen with the good reason to not expose the woman who was involved in this situation. And it's really hard to tell the story without including some of those details. So that one, that would probably be my answer, except that you end up feeling handcuffed from a coverage standpoint because because of those limitations, if that makes sense. So, I mean, if I skipped over that one for those reasons, I don't know. I'd probably dive into the Kyrie stuff as much as I'm exhausted by him in general, just because you have the layers to it. You have the most important layer, which is, I thought it was weak of him yesterday to not apologize in his statement with the Nets. Okay, they cut a check for $500,000, but the franchise and the player are absolutely printing money, so that's not the kind of massive amount of money it is for the rest of the world. B, I don't know exactly where all the cash came from. C, it's like his quote seems so scripted, and I do know him well enough that I thought it seemed pretty deliberate that he would not say "I'm sorry" to the Jewish community for coming within a million miles of inferring that the Holocaust wasn't real. To me, that's just an absolute, just you either meet the bar or you don't, and he didn't meet the bar. So I'd probably be diving into that story.
I don't know why my mic was off, but it was off. Sam, I thought about you last night, you coming on, because this story is so difficult, the Kyrie story. And certainly I don't want to bring you on and put you in a position of being the moral compass. So I want to try to keep this to NBA itself. Adam Silver, arguably, you had Donald Sterling right away. Then you had Hong Kong and Daryl Morey. I'm not entirely sure that this isn't somewhere in the top 3 at this point, and I agree with you 100%. The Kyrie thing was bogus, the lack of apology. I don't like comparing infractions, but it's interesting when you look at what Myers Leonard did and what he's done since to try to rectify that, and you look at what Kyrie said and the movie, which, by the way, took a look at that movie just because I want to know what the heck I was talking about, and it's worse than you think. Is this another, would you rank this top 3 Adam Silver challenges? Does it make it that high?
No, I mean,
yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm reacting to his. It's not fair to call it apathy. I guarantee you he doesn't have apathy.
Sure.
And I haven't talked to him about it, and I'm, I would love to. So I don't know where he's at. But it's a little bit like the Sarver thing in terms of, Adam is, you talk about having handcuffs on, in my job. I mean,
right. Adam
has his own restrictions. The Sarver story showed those where it was like, we're going to embarrass Sarver publicly, but we're not really, we don't think legally in a position to do all that much, in terms of discipline. And then still they ended up getting him out of the league basically. Or they're in the process of it. With Kyrie, yeah, I don't know, Dave. I mean, it's up there, but it is, the Myers Leonard example you bring up, I think that speaks to society in general, and that people don't, if Kyrie had used the word that Myers used, this would be a lot, the outcry would be greater, which is almost what pisses me off even more.
Yep.
About Kyrie, because he's so smart in some areas, and it feels like he knows what he's doing. Like you did promote this film. This film has that type of stuff, but you kept your hands clean in terms of you didn't utter these kinds of words. You continue to say, that you're an omnist who appreciates and respects all religions, but the absence of him having that moment, that public moment, the Donald Sterling moment, even the Draymond Green moment, punching Jordan Poole, like that's what society reacts to. Is we gotta see, the video of Kyrie saying this is some BS, Holocaust never happened, da da da. And I don't know if he believes that, or if he's been a conspiracy theory guy for so many years now. I guarantee you he's at least entertained the thought.
And whether he believes it or not, Sam, and I'll let you, whether he believes it or not, can we both agree it's not a great time ever to do that? But this isn't exactly the best time when it comes to relations with the Jewish community, people of color in that community. Like, there's a lot of other stuff, Kanye, there's a lot of other stuff going on right now. It's never a good time, but he couldn't have picked a worse time.
Listen, it's apples to oranges, but like, he argued with ESPN's Nick Friedel about the idea that on his social media feed, that the word promoting was accurate. And I told one of my colleagues the other day, I was like, man, when I tweet a story from The Athletic, I think twice if it's, I'm just being honest, if it's from a writer that I, maybe I'm going to sound like a jerk, but like maybe don't respect as much. Like, I think like I filter who I share on my timeline, and this is all just basketball stuff most of the time. Like, the idea that he's trying to be defensive about the fact that he chose to share things like Alex Jones, things like this film, essentially, like Alex Jones and Adolf Hitler are that's who Kyrie is basically saying they might have some good ideas,
right?
Like, and that's where it pisses me off. I'm not Jewish, but from a human standpoint, it's like, Kyrie, you cannot ever come anywhere remotely close to hurting people who have been through incredible tragedy like the Holocaust, like Sandy Hook, where you are casually saying, well, because I want to have a dialogue about what I think might be true, might not be true, I'm going to pull these victims into the public space and make them feel some kind of way that they deserve not to feel, because I need to be heard. And these conspiracy theories need to be vetted in some sort of public forum. So I'm so done with him, man.
Yeah,
like,
I'm with you.
He's a free agent next summer. I can't wait to see what the market looks like. I'm just over him.
No, and I'm with you, and that's well said, Sam.
Yep.
And it's weird to end on that note, but this is a topic we've largely stepped over a little bit because it is such a sensitive topic, and you don't want to say something stupid or wrong or ignorant. You want to have an understanding of it, and I think you did a fantastic job, Sam. Sam, I appreciate you. Check out Sam at The Athletic. Go to theathletic.com, download the app. Great deals going on right now, and we'll talk to you in a week, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Sam.
Take care. Bye-bye. Almost turned off my mic.